Welcome to the Dean Blechman Show, live from Long Island. Free-flowing talk with a charismatic, down-to-earth host. Join Dean as he interviews and chats freely with his guests, ranging from superstar athletes to politicians, industry titans, and everyday folk with fascinating life stories. Dean educates, entertains, and most of all, touches people's lives. You're listening to the Dean Blechman Show, live from Long Island.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Dean Blechman Show. This is your host, Dean. I'm very happy to say that we're calling Delray Beach, Florida, and getting my mother on the show, Jean Blechman, who was the first inaugural show of my show, and we're just checking in with her. Mom, are you there?
I'm here, Dean.
How are you, Mom?
I'm nervous, very nervous today.
Okay, well, listen, take a deep breath for a minute, Mom. Relax, because I'm going to introduce you once again. You know, my friends and colleagues here in the show. Scott Morrell is with us here, a senior correspondent. And I will say, Mom, keep track of everybody, Mom. I know you've been listening to the shows. You know, Scott is our liberal here.
Well, I'm going to have to, first of all, hello, Mrs. Blechman.
Hi, Scott. I'm glad one person at least is liberal.
Well, I want to make a slight correction. I'm a libertarian, and I believe in a lot of conservative fiscal policies and definitely liberal social policies, and I call myself a moderate. I
don't care what you are. I think you're nuts if you're interested in Trump.
Well, here, as they say in Britain, here. Yes, I agree with you, Mrs. Blechman. So we are on the same side prior to tonight's major debate with Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump.
Let's go over to Mom. Also with us is my dear friend, colleague, senior correspondent, the guy that was all behind Dean Blechman, your son, doing this radio show. Anthony is here, Mom, in the studio. Say hi to Anthony.
Hi, Anthony. It's nice to speak to you, but I know you're not on my side.
There's a but there, a qualifier.
I've really been I've been trying to really not pick a side with this, and I've been doing plenty of research, but I can't go for your girl Hillary there, Mrs. Blechman. I just can't do it. I've really tried to, and I just find nothing good about her. I mean, especially when it came out with the 13 phones and then smashing them with hammers. I mean, what was that about?
Well, but all the people are saying that the supporters of Trump are the uneducated. Do you fall into that category?
I don't know. I like to think I'm pretty educated.
Mom, before you get going anymore.
That isn't what I say. All the bigwigs are saying that all his supporters are the uneducated people.
Mom, before we...
And I guess you have to fall into that category. I can't help it.
Mom, I've got one more special friend and colleague, a great lady that you've met before. And go easy now, Mom. We're going all the way.
She's not on my side either.
Mom, we're going all...
It doesn't matter what she thinks because she's over in England.
Mom, we're going to go all the way to the UK, and we're going to go over to Europe and say hello to Ria, our senior correspondent and the lead investigative reporter. Ria, say hello to Mom.
Hi, Ria.
Hello, Mrs. Blechman. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks. And I'm glad to hear from you. But I'm glad you're not voting.
Tell us how you really think, Mrs. Blechman.
I'm sorry if I offended all of you. I can't.
Mom, before we go deeper into politics, I just want to ask you, I know we had a great time, the family out in Colorado in Steamboat Springs, and I know that was not an easy trip for you and your significant other, Larry, to make back and forth. Quite a get together.
It was very difficult, Dean. I don't know how I lived through it, really. But it was worth it because the wedding was spectacular. I had no idea my son was making the whole wedding. That's why it was spectacular.
Wow. Mom, you mentioned weddings. Scott, if you remember Scott Morrell, him and his parents, his family made all those bar mitzvahs and bat mitzvahs you attended at Woodbury Jewish Center in Woodbury. Scott was the caterer, Mom.
They were wonderful parties, and my son Neil learned a great deal from those parties, and now he's a very good party planner.
That's a wonderful part of the legacy, I guess. I'm honored. Thank you, Mrs. Blechman.
Yes, those were beautiful parties.
Thank you,
Mom. On the way back from the airport, you didn't stop off at one of those stores before the airport, one of those legal stores on the way back to the airport. The
head shops?
The head shops, Mom. You and Larry.
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
I was just anxious to get home from that trip.
It looks like Caesar has helped you very much with the controls, how to get onto your son's show now, Mom, from time to time.
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Let's get back
But I also forget, so...
Just remember, green means go. Just remember, green means go.
We were actually debating whether or not to get Mrs. Blechman on before the show or after the show started, and we decided to get her on before the show. Apparently, Dean gave her the signal that push the red button to get onto the show, and we would have had a huge delay. So I'm glad we made that decision.
Scott, why don't you?
Every day that I get closer to 90, it gets tougher and tougher.
You're amazing.
Remember all these things.
Mom, they say 100 million people are going to be watching this great debate tonight between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. We had to get you on the line. This is like a pre-debate party that we're having with my mom. We know politics are a big area for you. So what do you think? What do you think about tonight, Mom?
Well, I'm really not worried about Hillary's debating because I think she's one of the best debaters there is. But I'm worried about Donald Trump's clowning, because he's one of the best clowns there is. And I don't know if it will really be a debate or not. If it's a debate, I feel she has to win. But if he exceeds with his clowning, I don't know what could happen.
Okay, Mom, let's be very fair as I be the moderator here in this debate here. I'm going to first go over to Scott Morrell, who has a comment.
Mrs. Blechman, we are on the same team tonight. I can tell you that much. Frankly, I'm kind of depressed with most of America right now between the choices. I think she's completely qualified to be president. I think most of her unpopularity is derived from her being too protective of her secrets and her personal life, and I think she could have handled it better. I believe she probably has a lot of ethics, but she has not done a great job, and that's why she's not ahead by 10 or 20%. Right now, the latest polls that came out today in ABC News, Washington Post poll, and a Bloomberg poll, they have them at 47% each. Now, that scares the living daylights out of me. Tonight, I'm concerned about two things. The low bar that Trump is going to have. Basically, if he doesn't drool, he won. That's scary. And then this grading on a curve. I was graded on a curve in elementary school. I don't understand how you grade on a curve. When we have international crises, there's no such thing as a curve. You have to make the right decision or the wrong decision. So this concept really bothers me. So I am very nervous about tonight, and I really hope that people listen to the subject matter and the policy and not the reality show.
Well, I believe that Hillary is better than you think she is. She has done many wrong things You can't be a politician and be straight. You have to lie and you have to be crooked to be a politician. There's no doubt about it. But nobody brings up, well, I shouldn't say nobody. Yesterday and today, they're telling everybody on TV how many lies Donald Trump made in the last 2 days, like one every 3 minutes or something like that. So, I mean, Hillary isn't anything like that. I think a lot of her unpopularity is because she's a woman, because she's a successful woman and a bright one. And I don't think men like that. That's why she doesn't have a big man vote.
Let's go over
And
to
a lot of women don't like that either.
You know,
Mom. Anthony's waiting
It's too competitive.
Mom, I'm moderating, Mom. Anthony wants to say something, and then we're going to go over to Rhea.
You make a very valid point, Mrs. Blechman. Some of that I can agree with. I'll use a hypothetical here, and let's just assume that she didn't lie, and
She does lie.
but no, I'm just saying hypothetically, if she didn't lie and none of this email stuff, none of these issues came up, let's just look at her health. And I mean, my doctor just told me the other day. He's been a doctor 30-something years, and he says, she's got all the symptoms of Parkinson's. He says, no doubt about it. She's heavily medicated when I see her on TV. And this particular doctor actually does different government work. When certain things happen, they have him come in to work with government employees. So he's very, very intelligent guy. Very connected.
But I think that's quite impossible. How can from just looking at her, he can determine that?
Well, all the symptoms that she's had on camera, I believe, is what he was getting at.
Let's hold up for a minute. Scott has something to say about
that she fainted.
She fainted.
Right.
She has seizures. She has multiple issues going on camera.
No, I don't believe that.
Mom, give me a chance for a minute. Scott has something to say about what Anthony's saying. Hold on for a minute.
I love you, Anthony, but this is that conspiracy bull that I'm hearing on TV all the time, that she's unhealthy and so forth. First of all, he's not the spitting image of health whatsoever, Donald Trump. That's the first thing. Secondly, what people are forgetting that bothers me so much is that is precisely what the vice president is for. He has one role, and one role only, is when the president of the United States is incapacitated or dies, the vice president assumes that responsibility. So even if you go with that narrative, which is ridiculous, now you have, Tim Kaine as president. And I feel more comfortable with Tim Kaine, to be honest with you, than Hillary Clinton. So as a backup, I'm good. I'm good to go.
Scott, after all
I feel better with Tim Kaine than Pence.
Right, exactly.
So,
this is, really...
But I'm not thinking that she's very ill.
Mom, hold up for a minute, Mom.
There's a Trump sandwich that just came out, Mrs. Blechman. It's a Trump sandwich. It's white bread full of bologna with Russian dressing and a small pickle.
Yeah. Trump created this story about her being ill, like he created all the other stories.
I don't know. I'm willing to take a bet.
The emails were bad. She apologized for it and said she was wrong and she would never do it again.
Oh.
I don't know what else they want from her to put that to rest. There's nothing else that she could do. She can't take it back. It's done. And she admitted to it, and I think that everybody should get on with it.
Mom, let's move on. Let's go over to my other friend over across at the UK. I know Rhea. Rhea, come on into this.
Okay, guys, here I come. I've got a bullseye on ready for her. The first one, I have 2 questions, Mrs. Blechman. Donald Trump aside, how do you feel that Hillary will make America better? And the second one, let's just do the first one. How do you feel that Hillary will make America better?
I think she's extremely qualified, and she wants to succeed. She's that kind of an individual, and she wants to leave a legacy, and she's going to do everything in her power to make things better than it is now.
And you feel? Do you know?
I believe that Obama made things better than it was when he came into being president. And she's going to follow and make it better than him. I do believe that.
Okay.
I do believe that.
Are you aware of?
This woman has been working her whole life in politics to make things better. Not for herself. She was not a rich lady until recently. She didn't do things for herself like Donald Trump. Everything that he does is to make more money for himself.
And all the money she stole from Haiti. Let's not forget about that.
Ma, that was Anthony, Ma.
All the money she stole from where?
Yeah, you didn't hear the news, Mrs. Blechman? They give away 5.7% of the money that they raised, the Clinton Foundation. They only give 5.7% of it away. The rest of it goes to employee expenses and salaries. 94% of the money goes to them.
I don't mind that.
But Mrs. Blechman,
she still does a lot of good.
But Mrs. Blechman, you should be asking Anthony the question: how much money? How much money?
How much does Donald?
That's the question. Let's hear about Donald Trump's foundation and about his taxes. But does Mom?
He doesn't give 1 cent of his own money to anything.
Now I can imagine what Lester Holt's going to go through tonight. Let's go back, because I feel
he doesn't give 1 cent. Everything goes to Donald Trump.
I agree.
Mom, I know this was said on my first show with you that you are a remarkable young lady at 89 years of age. Just incredible. Let's go back over to Rhea, because I think she was kind of cut off by all the dialogue and debating here. Rhea, I'm sorry. Let's go back over to you.
Hey guys, it's no problem at all. I feel the whole thing is going to be a mudslinging match, and I was trying to get to Mrs. Blechman. Do you believe in?
Not, Rhea. I hope it isn't a mudslinging match.
Yeah, so do I. I was speaking to Scott earlier about that very thing.
Rhea, hold on for a minute. You got to remember, our friend Scott Morrell here is bucking with my mother to become my twin, her sixth son.
I'm counting on Hillary to speak the facts and not go back and forth with the mudslinging.
Was that your second question, Rhea, for Mrs. Blechman?
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. My question was, are you on Hillary's side, A, because she's a lady, B, because you feel that she speaks well, and C, do you know any of her policies outside of her speech? So are you aware of Hillary's up-and-coming policies?
Mom, go ahead.
You have to repeat that again.
Go, Rhea, repeat the first question. Go one by one, Rhea, about because she's a woman. Go ahead and ask the first question.
Okay, I'll just keep it to the
I'm
first.
not with her because she's a woman. I'm happy that she's a woman, that maybe finally we'll get a woman in the White House. I feel strongly that maybe with a woman in the White House, we'll really do something better, because the women are much better than the men. The men don't realize that.
Always.
So they don't allow that to happen.
Okay, so my next one is, what brings you to Hillary Clinton? Is it because she's good at speaking, or is it because you're aware of her up and coming policies?
Well, because of the two together, I can't. She's much more qualified than Trump. That's why I'm voting for her.
Okay, back to you.
I mean, if she was up against somebody else, I don't know who, I might vote for the other person.
Mom, on another...
But against Trump, she's
Mom, on another note, you and I were speaking the other day that you're one of the youngest where you live down there. You had a friend. Can you tell my colleagues and friends here in the audience that you have a friend? How old you mentioned to me the other day? I'm going to let you say it if you can remember.
Oh, he just passed away, 106.
Amazing.
Wow.
Amazing.
God bless.
Don't you have another friend that's there in the hundreds, Mom? Isn't there someone else?
There's a woman, she's not my friend, but I've seen her. She's 109.
Wow. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I know when...
They probably come from good stock. I don't.
Mom, I know when I come down to visit you next time, we're going to do Dean on the Street, and we're going to do some great discussions and stories and experiences with all the people that live down by you, and even talk about politics.
Yes, it could be very interesting. If you get through the construction, I'm buried here in this construction. Every day it gets worse and worse. You can't walk around this building.
Mom, at this time of the day, me calling you and you coming on the show, did we catch you before happy hour or after happy hour?
No, you caught me when I just got back from Costco and I was unconscious. Unconscious because I went without my walker and I just pushed a wagon. And it was terrible. I'll never do that again.
Wow, you're remarkable. Scott, I think you have something to say, Scott.
Mrs. Blechman, do you have a drink occasionally?
Every day.
Okay, do you get, I don't know your Yiddish, do you get iced
No.
Okay. Okay, very good. We'll keep that between me and Mrs. Blechman.
You think Rhea knows what that is?
Not a chance. She just found out about Rosh Hashanah last week. I love her.
But when my children come, I have more than one glass.
So I'm sure you are excited and nervous like I am for tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern time for this debate. I got to tell you, I was excited until I saw the polls recently, and he has an upswing. And this is not a battle of ideas. This is a battle of... They know he's lying most of the time. Even the Trump supporters actually said that. There was a report that he has an 88% lie rate and a huge, what's called pants on fire lie rate compared to Clinton, who lies. But you're right, she's a politician, but in the teens. But people, I think, are voting for him, or the people that support him want a person to knock down the Washington establishment. And they don't care if it's a cudgel or if it's a sword or if it's a bulldozer. And that's why. So they're allowing him to lie. And I just think it's just outrageous that someone could, he's lying to you. You just know it because there's a scary little thing that people didn't realize. It's called the video. And whatever he says is contradictory. Forget about 10 or 12 years ago, 3 minutes before. I just don't get it.
I think Anthony has something to say.
They accept that.
I know.
Ruin this country.
Mrs. Blechman.
Mom, when we do the show, when we do a show like this, it can't be who talks the loudest and who talks over each other. Otherwise, the audience isn't going to hear what you have to say. So you got to let me be the moderator, Mom.
That was my fault.
Just wait a second. We're gonna let Anthony speak first, Mom. Go ahead, Anthony.
No, I'm sorry. That was my fault. But I do remember from one of our prior shows, Mrs. Blechman, you did mention that if Donald Trump gets elected, that you were moving. So I just was curious to ask when Donald Trump becomes president, where do you plan on moving to?
I haven't really thought about it seriously because I cannot believe that the people in this country will allow that man to be president. I still find that hard to believe.
Well, Mrs. Blechman, it's Scott. I came up with 2 locations that you might consider. My first location is Toronto. It's English speaking and it's close to the United States. Second, where Rhea lives, it's lovely, and especially how she describes her view with the rolling hills and everything. I love the British people, so the United Kingdoms would be second. So start looking into that for the next 4 to 5 weeks, just in case.
Okay.
Mom,
okay.
where...
I think we'll have to change the name of this country to Trump's America.
That's good. He brands everything. That's very good.
Right.
That's great.
I mean, if you recall, everywhere he spoke at a Trump place or, promoting his things to make more money.
United States of Trump.
Right.
You believe that, whether you like it or not, from the White House.
That's so
Mom,
funny.
I think when this show goes viral, I think you're going to get a call from the Clinton, either from Hillary or from the Clinton administration. They're going to want you to be in the cabinet, Mom.
No, I wouldn't want that job.
Okay, well let's bring this show to a close. It was great having my mom, as always. It's great to have you, Mom. You really sound great. We're going to go over for some closing comments around the board here, Mom. We're going to first go over to Rhea to say for her to say goodbye and any closing comments that she wants to say. Rhea, hello.
Hi guys, thank you for coming on, Mrs. Blechman. And if you was to ever come to the UK and leave the United States of Trump, then you'll be welcomed.
I would love to meet you, Rhea. Would be my pleasure.
It would be my pleasure as well. Over to you, Dean.
Okay, thank you, Rhea, as always. Let's go over to Anthony with his closing comments to Mom.
It's always a pleasure speaking with you, Mrs. Blechman. And on the contrary of your position, if Hillary gets elected, I'm moving to Russia. So we're going to have to. You'll have to come meet me there, or
like Trump, like Trump, like Russia.
I like my Eastern European women.
That's right. Oh, me too.
Okay.
Mom, we're now going to go
In
over.
the meantime, I might get to meet you, Anthony, when I come to New York.
Yes, that would be lovely. Absolutely.
We're now going to go over, Mom, to Scott Morell's final comments.
Mrs. Blechman, I feel your anxiety. I feel your energy for tonight's debate. It's so transparent. Listen, I still have faith in the American public. Believe it or not. I know that's an oxymoron. I understand that. But when sober minds come together and they want to know who is the most, who do you trust the most to have their hand on the nuclear briefcase, I think it's a crystal clear choice. It's all about temperament.
I'm voting for the intellectual people.
God bless.
Mom, do you have any other closing comments before I bring the show to a close?
Nothing at all. Just let Hillary win.
Well, on that note, I just want to say, Mom, it's unbelievable that I get to do this show, have a lot of fun, and be able to do it still to this day with my mom. And it's a tremendous high, something I'll never forget. And I just want to let you know that the emails, the text messages, the phone calls, I'm bombarded every day that when are you going to have your mom on again? And this is just great that we're able to do this together.
I love you, Dean.
Well, listen, on that note, say hello to Larry for me. And I just want to say I'll see you soon, speak to you during the week, and hopefully it'll be a debate that you're happy with tonight. So on that note, I just want to hear from all our listeners. Listeners can reach out to us with the free text number for U.S. residents. It's 631-372-8849. We'd love to hear from all of you. Include your name and location, and we will mention you on the show. Please don't forget to like us on Facebook and to hit the subscribe button on the show's YouTube channel. If you'd like to leave a comment, use the box below. If you'd like to share your story, any of your ideas, or even be a guest on the show, go to deanblechman.com and please email me. I would like to thank all my listeners for being with us today. From all of us at the Dean Blechman Show, have a great day.
You've been listening to the Dean Blechman Show, live from Long Island, New York. From all of us here, we'd like to thank you for tuning in. We look forward to hearing your comments via Facebook, Twitter, Skype, and email. And don't forget, you can visit the webpage anytime for the up-and-coming guest list. From all of us here, have a good evening.